Let's honor our distinguished alumni. I'd like to welcome Ellen Ireland to present Barbara O'Hara, class of 1959. Good evening. It is my distinct privilege and honor to introduce to you our first 2021 Distinguished Alumni Award honoree, a member of the class of 1959, Barbara Nichols O'Hara. I know many of you in the room know Barbara, so some of this may end up being repetitive, so bear with me. Barbara is known throughout Oakwood and Dayton for her philanthropic and leadership roles. Numerous organizations, some of which, but not all, are listed in the program, have benefited from Barbara's time, strategic direction, generous financial support, advocacy, and activism. And I know some of the people who are from those organizations are here, and if you just stand, and I know some had to leave because of another event, but thank you to those who know of Barbara's care and passion for those organizations. Barbara has been a force throughout the Dayton region in initiating change to improve the lives of fellow citizens for the better. With thoughtfulness and tenacity, she effectively develops a plan to create positive solution for any challenge. Her passion and vision are remarkable and consistently lead to considerable success for desired outcomes. She is constantly trying to lift others. Her personal contributions are exemplary and include her focus on organizational sustainability and excellence, as well as a strong commitment to board recruitment and donor recruitment. In appreciation for her Oakwood education and experience, in 2000, Barbara established an endowed scholarship fund supporting the college costs for graduating Oakwood female athletes. At the time, the scholarship was the fourth for the Oakwood Schools Foundation, and today the foundation awards 20 named scholarships, so she was very much a leader in this respect. The O'Hara Scholarship has been and continues to be the largest financial award and is highly coveted by the Oakwood senior female athletes. To date, over $50,000 has been awarded to graduating seniors. In addition to these accomplishments, Barbara was an executive in the world of travel when it was extremely difficult for women to be recognized, let alone excel. Willingly, she left that role to become a busy corporate executive's wife and loving companion, helping to raise 2 stepchildren. And James is here with us tonight, as is Stephanie, his wife. Today, she also adds proud and doting grandma to her legacy list of accomplishments. All of these successes are packaged up with amazing energy and an unwavering can-do attitude enjoyed by organizations, mentees, family, and friends. So now, please join me in congratulating Barbara O'Hara, one of Oakwood. Most loyal and verbal cheerleaders. I'm so grateful to have her, and she well deserves this Oakwood Distinguished Alumni Award. So, thank you.
That was nice, Ellen. Wow. I just saw the Oakwood Register yesterday, and I have to say I was shocked because I was called by Ellen in July. I've been in Harbor Springs, Michigan since mid-June. It was about 9:30 on a Tuesday morning. I was having breakfast, and Ellen informed me of this wonderful honor. I thought, wow, she really, really started working on this. I admire her for all the time she took in contacting these different people that you'll read about in the program, some of whom, as she said, are here tonight. So I thank you again for that. And I have to say, they must have been very laudatory, because here I am. But referring to that Oakwood Register article, I was called by Amanda, who's about ready to have a baby. She's the director of the Alum Association, so she didn't feel safe to be here, as Amy just said. And she said, send a picture. We need a picture for whatever. And I said, I don't have any good pictures. Well, it ended up that a person was coming to visit me where I am in northern Michigan. And it was a beautiful day like today. And I said, Paul, I need you to come outside with your fancy camera. Whatever they are. iPhone or whatever camera. What is it, James? You know. So he took several pictures in front of the beautiful hydrangea, the sun and all that business. So I opened the Oakwood Register yesterday, and here are all the wonderful nominees with their high school pictures in black and white. And here I am in my chartreuse green top, and the sun's out there, and my hair blowing in my wind. Anyway, thank you. I kind of liked it too. Anyway. This is a little bit of a jest. When Ellen called me, I failed to tell you that I had just been dealing with my cat Fitzgerald, who is a hunter of chipmunks. And he had just brought a chipmunk into the condo. And so when you called, I heard everything you said, but I was a bit fractured because I was trying to chase this chipmunk around. So then, just last week, I came home and Fitzgerald had another chipmunk that he put in the bathtub. And it was a baby. And I thought, you know what? He's a smart cat because that chipmunk can't get out due to the ceramic tile. And I thought, you know what? You must be an Oakwood grad. You're so smart. Anyway, I just want to, I'm not going to say anything that Ellen said, but I know a lot of you that are here today, and a lot of you don't know my background. So I'm going to go through this very briefly. I'm not a Dayton native. Bob used to say, why don't you say you are? And I said, I'm not. I'm too verbal, straightforward. So, I was born in Indianapolis. My family moved to Minneapolis. And in 1948, we moved to Oakwood, where I was in the second grade. I had a fabulous teacher who I remember one day came for lunch, and I thought, how do you do that nowadays? She was really a pretty cool teacher. I graduated from Oakwood in '59 after running around field hockey fields, basketball courts, tennis courts. Went on to Northwestern, graduated from there in '63 with a Bachelor of Education, again running around field hockey courts, basketball courts, and tennis courts for 4 years. And my Bachelor of Education was in teaching, so I taught in the suburbs of Chicago, north of Chicago for 3 years, elementary education. And I enjoyed it. But then I went into the travel business in downtown Dayton. Some of you may remember Top Value Enterprises, an incentive travel company. That led to Vice President General Manager of Horizons Travel, who was at the Dayton Mall, which was a retail travel agency. At which time I met Bob O'Hara, and that was in '74. He had moved to Dayton from Atlanta with the meat company. And we were married in, let's see, 73, I met him in late 74, 74, we were married in 74. Magic, 7 months later. He was a really witty, humorous, intelligent, wonderful Irishman it was good for me. And in '79, Ani and James O'Hara, Bob's children, came from Buenos Aires to live with us, which was enriching, rewarding, challenging, and wonderful. And then I retired and got a little more involved in the Dayton community through the Junior League, where I learned more about what Dayton has to offer and the volunteer opportunities. So that's my background. I'm not going to go talking about what's in this program, because you can read that, and Ellen touched on it. There are 4 men here today who have also helped me tremendously in being able to help these nonprofits. So I want to thank the 4 of you again very much. There's one organization in here that I'm going to highlight, which is a little different than all the other organizations, and it's the Greater Dayton Rowing Association, GDRA is an acronym. 21 years ago, there was an article in the Dayton paper about anybody interested in starting a rowing club, contact blah blah. And having gone to college on the shores of Lake Michigan, we have no rowing club. I've loved the water, but never rowed. So I answered the article in the paper. We met, we organized the club, we became Metro Parks partners. We cleaned up Island Park, which was just ravaged by not only geese, but druggies, homeless. Now it's a lovely, lovely spot with great rowing. Our mission for this organization was to get inner city kids to be involved, some of which we got. But we really wanted to dwell on being able to give high school students the opportunity to learn a wonderful sport, if they're not good at football, basketball, volleyball, that they can go on, row in regattas, do winter birding, which is very important nationwide, and retain college scholarships, of which we have done, and we are very successful. So I will just end being the inveterate fundraiser. If any of you have any discretionary shekels in your pockets, meet in the boathouse. Just kidding. Meet in the boathouse. Meet in the boathouse. The Distinguished Alum Honor has been around for a number of years. You saw the people who've been awarded this. And I would like to honor them, but I also want to honor Nicholas and Chris and Lockie Whalen, who I was lucky enough to get to know, and the other Chris. So congratulations to all of you being honorees for 2021. In addition, I know a lot of you drive by Oakland High School, probably many days of the week like I do. Maybe you drive by Smith School on Schaefer. But do you know what goes on in this school? So I feel it's an honor, my honor, to honor the Oakland School District. Lang School for kindergartners, elementary schools where I graduated, Smith and Harmon, as well as Oakland High School. So there's some facts I want to share with you so you'll get to know the school better. First of all, I just read that Oakwood has been chosen, I don't know by whom, but one of the finest communities in the city, in the state of Ohio, in which to live. That's hot off the press. The class sizes are small. My high school graduating class, Fred Setzer's here, he was in the class. We only had 124 classmates. Patrick, my younger grandson, who graduated this past June, I think had 170, so 172. Easy access to the teachers. The state-of-art technology is very accessible to all the students. We have honor AP courses. We have opportunities to participate in a myriad of activities, two of which are rather unique. Is an entrepreneurial course, and the other is a philanthropy course, which is near and dear to my heart because I think that's so important for kids to learn some philanthropy. How to choose who you're giving your money to, how to be selective, and how to raise the money. We have wonderful parental support. Our school levies usually pass, I would say probably always pass. The kids can walk to all the schools very safely. Approximately 95% of the graduates go on to college. And Oakwood is one of 3 high schools in the state of Ohio that is ranked top academically. I think that's very good for all of you to know. Here's a question for you. If you drive by on Schaefer, do you notice the Mac Hummon Stadium? How many know who Mac Hummon was? Well, that's pretty good. Anybody wondering who he was that doesn't know? If you don't, I'm telling you anyway. Mac Hummon was a football, baseball, basketball player at Wittenberg Tigers in the late 1900s. He played for the Dayton Triangles in 1920s. Because of all of this, his helmet and jersey are in the Canton Football Hall of Fame. He was a coach at Oakwood High School from, from 26 to 65, coach of basketball, football, and baseball, a charismatic administrator. He was a quality guy. So anytime you go to Mac Cummins Stadium and you sit in those seats, now you know who the man is. And I think that's something, Dr. Ramey, you need to publicize who Mac Cummins is. So I'm just going to put all this together. I'd like to say, I have a mantra. Dayton is my city. Oakwood is my city. Harbor Springs, where I am in the summer for 4 months, is kind of my city. I think my mantra is to get to know your city, to try to be a part of your city, to learn what's going on, to find out what the opportunities are. Not that everything's going to appeal to you, but you can be selective, but we have so many opportunities in this city to become involved. So that is my mantra, not that it's good for everybody. I've said to James many times, networking in this city is so easy compared to Chicago, where I live, or New York, or Denver, as you people with nonprofits know. So I'm just going to say, in closing, there's no reason we all can't help to bring more luster and brilliance to our city, the Gem City. So I want to say thanks to Amanda, who Amy referred to as the chair of the Homeowners Association, for organizing all this. Thank you to my friends who are here, to my family, and I guess that I'm now a distinguished domestic artist.
Thanks again. Thanks.
Well, I can't outdo a chipmunk and a cat story. so I'm not gonna attempt that. My name is Jim Jolly. I'm a 1979 Oakwood High School graduate. And it's my pleasure to make a presentation of the introduction of Dr. Nicholas John Connard as one of this year's Distinguished Alumni Award winners, award recipients. For those of you who don't know, Nick is an internationally acclaimed archaeologist and professor at the University of Tübingen, which is located in the southwestern part of Germany. I'd like to spend a couple minutes to review his career and describe some of the accomplishments and contributions he's made to the field of archaeology. After Nick graduated from Oakwood in 1979, he attended the University of Rochester in upstate New York, and he earned a Bachelor's of Science in anthropology and chemistry in 1983, and then a master's degree in anthropology, physics, and geology in 1986, before going to Yale University and earning a master's and a doctoral degree in physics and anthropology. And after his formal education, Nick started his professional career at the University of Connecticut, where he was an assistant professor there from 1991 to 1993, at which time he was appointed Humboldt Research Fellow at the Romanish, Dr. Connor, I apologize for the pronunciation there, Germanisches Central Museum, which is located just outside of Mainz, Germany. And he was there for a few years until 1995 when he accepted a professorship at University of Tübingen in the Institute for Prehistoric Archaeology, where he's been since that time to this day. And during his tenure there, he's had various positions of elected leadership, which includes vice dean and dean of faculty and dean of studies, in addition to being a department chairman. As part of Nick's research, he has to do a lot of field work and excavations, and he's done so in many different countries, including South Africa, Germany, Syria, and Iran. And a couple years ago, he was in China visiting my wife's sister, looking at opportunities in China. Some of his notable archaeological findings have included a 40,000-year-old elaborately carved figurine, female figurine, that's been dubbed the Venus of Hohlefels, which is the cave in Germany where it was discovered. A 35,000-year-old flute that's carved from a bird stone that's the oldest known handcrafted instrument that's been found. And several figurines, carved figurines that are about 30,000-year-olds that include a horse head, and probably more notably a half lion, half man figurine that's in German that's known as the Löwenmensch. These new discoveries have really challenged the dogma of archaeology that prehistoric artifacts were simple representations of everyday life. Arguably, they now, through Nick's work, are viewed as representing more emotion and more abstract thought, in addition to showing early cultural evolution of prehistoric man and an appreciation for art, music, religion, and the physical world. Nick has published over 400 peer-reviewed articles. I come from a scientific background, and that's a machine. He's authored or co-authored over 40 books in book chapters. He's presented his work as invited talks to several hundred venues. Importantly, he's supervised over 65 doctoral dissertations and several master's theses. So he's really contributing to the next generation of archaeologists. On a personal note, if you ever get a chance to visit Germany, you need to go to Tübingen. It's one of the most historic small cities in Germany. The original public records of Tübingen date back to the 11th century. Nick and his wife, Diane, who's a Fairmont graduate, have raised 3 beautiful children in a home that dates back to the 15th century, just steps down a cobblestone road from where Nick's office is, which is in a castle that dates back to the 11th century. His kids, his oldest son, or his only son, Louis, who was actually an exchange student here at Oakwood one year. Their daughters, Stella and Matilda, are all now young adults pursuing their early careers in various parts of Germany and Europe. I can't keep up with where they are, but I know that's generally true. Nick always finds time to come home and visit his parents, Doctors Robert and Sheila Connor, who are here tonight, his brothers, Chris and Anthony and sister Angie and their families. And he doesn't forget his 1979 crazy classmates. So, but with all that said, he's not here to receive his honor because he's preparing for a site excavation in Iran that's going to be happening in the next few weeks. And so I'd like to now introduce Chris Connor, who his brother in 1976 Oakwood High School alum, to accept the 2021 Oakwood High School Distinguished Alumni Award in his honor, in Nick's honor.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. A couple comments before I actually get to my brother's prepared comments. One, two traits would characterize, I think, my brother the best. Despite all of his academic achievements and accomplishments, he has tireless energy, and he loves to have fun. If you want to stay out late, go hang out with my brother. And so he also loves competition. So built within this little discussion that he's asked me to read for him, I have a competition that we will all have together. You don't get any award other than the recognition within the proper peer group that you've done something extraordinary within the confines of this Oakwood gathering. So I'm curious, how many people here had to memorize the prologue to Canterbury Tales? Okay, so here's our competition. Nick talks about that in his little speech. So when we get to that place, I want all of us to engage together to do the prologue as long as you can. The person who goes the longest gets the recognition from all of the other alumni that they knew it and remembered it the best, okay? Everybody with me on that? Okay, and if you can't remember the beginning, remember it starts, okay, everybody, you with me? Okay. So now the next part of this is that I'm talking to Nick. He was here last month for 2 weeks, and I said, you know, Nick, you got to give me this talk. I'll get to it. He finally gets it to me like last week, and it's 5 pages, single spaced. And I said, Nick, oh, by the way, it's 11.5. And I said, Nick, I got 5 minutes. I'm taking them all up now, but I got 5 minutes. And he said, well, you can't edit it unless I see everything you take. Well, you know, one of the things that all of us know who were there during that period of time in the 70s and into the 80s, you know, we could spend hours talking about the likes of Coach Wysocki and Slick Schnorr and all these other people. I deleted all of that, because those of you who know him, you know what that all means. So with the license that I had, and after I did the first round of edits, he said, okay, and then thank goodness my wife kind of finished it off because it still would have been way too long. I got it down to 5 pages, 18.5, so maybe I can read it without glasses. And so anyway, thanks for being here, and now for the comments of my brother. First, I'd like to thank my dear friends, Jim Jolly and Tucker Schultz, for nominating me, and the Oakwood High School Alumni Association for awarding me this honor. I would also like to thank Jim, Tucker, Tom Donnelly, Lee Waltz, Steve Ireland, Chris Beavis, John Haley, Bob Rockwell, Mary Martin, and many others of the class, who I might point out, Mary Kay Whalen Buffington, Armand Bowling are there as well. When I reflect on what life was like in Oakwood and what the Oakwood school system means to me, I have countless memories. I've always been a chronic optimist, and the positive recollections outnumber the few negative ones. I am grateful to the Oakwood school system and my many teachers. Leaving Oakwood to study at the universities of Rochester, Freiburg, and Cologne, and the latter two in Germany and at Yale, I never felt that I was, in terms of my education or intellect, in any way inferior to those around me. Much of this confidence came from my parents, who my whole life challenged me and educated me at home and our travels in North America, Europe, and Africa. Also, my friends from Oakwood, among many other things, were then and now intellectually active, curious. The same applies to my siblings, Anthony, Angie, and Chris, who were also products of the Oakwood school system, who, like my parents, Robert and Sheila, are in attendance tonight. My parents always did and still have held their doors open to all my friends who have done much to maintain my ties to Oakwood. I could name many teachers at Harmon, junior high, and high school who shaped my education, but as with students, I'm a little hesitant to go into details because I had to cut it out. All right, we're getting close for our test. I remember reading The Hobbit in 7th grade and acting in plays like Midsummer Night's Dream in 8th grade. I played Francis Flute, the bellows mender, in case anyone is curious. And to this day, here we go, I can recite the prologue to Canterbury Tales in Middle English. So are we all ready? Bandera pria with a shore of solta, the brook of marcha, persitola rota, and mother every line in speech la cora, which bears with gender is the floor. Van Zephyrs, cake in every whole pot, heart the tender crappies.
The tender.
Now, I can't do this one because I don't remember this from Ralph Ferguson, but we also had to remember to be or not to be in Macbeth's Tomorrow, and of course, with a few mistakes, especially after a few drinks, he recites regularly with his classmates. In addition to English and other languages, in my case German, I learned much in other areas. I did pretty well and enjoyed physics, biology, and particularly chemistry. I went on to become a chemistry major in Rochester. Chemistry was probably the toughest program at the whole university, even today. Of the 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and a PhD I earned, I'm most proud of my chemistry degree. Of the hundreds of students who started the program, only 7 of us graduated on time, and none with good grades. Chemistry at Rochester was like a cruel form of torture, but I survived it. As all clear-thinking people know, one always appreciates challenges overcome more than gifts received. My education from Oakwood also served me well in anthropology, physics, geology, and the other fields in which I later earned degrees. Real life in Oakwood, however, was not only to be found between the covers of the school books. I love sports, I played with the people with whom I played with them, and I am a founding member of the soccer team. I played every season of intramurals on teams like the Caibos, the Rutabagas, and some in the audience may remember them as fondly as I do. Additionally, I'm happy that my son Lewis played on the soccer team with some of the children of my old friends when he was living with my parents in 10th grade. He sometimes still wears his Oakwood soccer shirt in Germany, and it always puts a smile on my face. What shaped my career the most was the experience I gained in archaeology while a student at Oakwood starting in the summer of 1976. I began working at what is now called Sunwatch Village for the Dayton Museum of Natural History. Anthony and Angie and Nick would load up the station wagon, load up all the tools, and off they would go to dig. And they were his partners digging all those years. And the fact that I still earn my living as an archaeologist 45 years later will give you some idea of how much this time shaped my development. I'm proud of what I've achieved in my research and teaching. I would give all Oakwood students the advice of pursuing what makes them the happiest. This is the most likely path to success for both personal and professional life. For this reason, I've always held my door open to anyone who held an interest in archaeology, and I will tell you, if you ever go to Tübingen, Jim and Steve Ireland, all those folks, if you knock on my brother's door, he will welcome you with a smile, a meal, and a beer. Finally, the friends are too many to name, and the shared joys and challenges of growing up here are too numerous to touch upon, although they are well remembered. 2 years ago, at my 40th reunion, I felt great affection for people that I had not seen in decades, as well as for the circle of friends I see regularly. I felt much love and camaraderie, and I'm sure that I will always feel this way. Dear friends and family, please raise a glass to our health and well-being. I hope to see you before long under the trees, on the green pitches or in the fair homes of Oakwood, and you can rest assured that I will toast for you from where I am this night and for a long time to come. Nicholas Connard. Thank you.
Amy, why do I have to follow Chris Connard? Okay. Well, it's a real honor for me to be up here and introduce our next 2021 Distinguished Alumni Award honoree, Chris Eppley, of the class of 1987. he was a contemporary of our sons at Oakwood, and so I've known Chris for a long time. After graduating from Oakwood, Chris attended Denison University, where he was a varsity soccer player, and the University of Dayton School of Law. With the law school, he still serves as an adjunct professor in appellate law, an alumni board trustee, and as an externship supervisor. In November of last year, 2020, Chris was elected as the judge in the Ohio Court of Appeals, the 2nd Appellate District. Prior to his election as judge, he had practiced law for 21 years and volunteered as a guardian ad litem. He is a Leadership Dayton graduate, a member of the Oakwood Rotary, and previously served as an elected member of both the Oakwood Board of Education and the Oakwood City Council, which is pretty impressive. Judge Eppley is a life fellow of the Ohio and Dayton Bar Associations and has received numerous awards. For example, the 40 Under 40 Award from the Dayton Business Journal, as well as from Catholic Social Services, Juvenile Court, the University of Dayton, and the Oakwood City Schools. Chris lives in Oakwood with his wife and 2 children, and so now please join me in congratulating Judge Chris Eppley.
Well, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here tonight. You know, when I was in kindergarten in the afternoon, Miss Smuts' class, I would never have thought that I'd be here today. I was busy listening to Harry Shaw say, "I want to be captain. I want to be captain." I didn't know what he wanted to be captain of. He couldn't say captain because in kindergarten, that's a pretty hard word to say. At that time, we were playing with blocks. So I had no idea what he was talking about. And furthermore, I was thinking about, I can't wait to go to Jeff Parker's sixth birthday party tonight, because that's going to be a lot of fun with all my kindergarten classmates. So, when I think of Oakwood High School, I think about relationships. My parents moved me here in 1969. They tell me because they were looking for the best schools, and as our Mayor Duncan always likes to say, the premier community in the Miami Valley. So they moved me here in 1969. I think of my upbringing and my education. To me, it's all about relationships. And it's about my family, too. I'm honored that my kids go to the same school that I went to. I go to Harmon now at Oakwood. And so whenever we go on vacation, I think of, who do I know from Oakwood on our way to wherever we're going? So whether it's Chip Collins at Hilton Head, or Bill Edwards in Florida, Ben Hines in Colorado, you know, we go to like Gib Fitzpatrick, North Carolina. So, we don't visit with them, we just go for an hour and say, hey, you guys want to meet up? And so this summer, James O'Hara had texted me and said, hey, Gib Fitzpatrick and Mark Dooley are in town. Mark's from California. I hadn't seen him since probably '88 or whatever it was. And you should come down. I'm like, well, let's see, cut the grass tonight or go visit with some Oakwood guys. It's kind of a no-brainer. So we had a lot of fun talking about our old days. And, you know, Gib had reminded me, you're really good about reaching out to people. You know, you did that to me. I hadn't seen you since we played soccer together. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't we? It was one of the best times ever. You know, so to me, it's about relationships. Same thing happens at Denison. I've just been fortunate, I guess. If you want to reach out to people, they'll be willing to reach out back to you. You know, we were on our way to Florida this spring break, and the day before I called a friend of mine, and I played soccer with at Denison, and he lives in Nashville. It's about halfway. So I said, hey, we're coming down. Do you have time? He's like, sure. You know, where are you staying? I don't know. He's like, oh, we got a condo. It's not being used. You can stay in it. Great. So next thing I know, we're staying in Nashville in a condo. And now my daughter wants to go to Vanderbilt University. Yeah, we're saving our money. The same thing happened this summer. I took my son, Jack, to Philadelphia for a lacrosse tournament. And, you know, I was chief marketer, that's what I call myself. And so I got a business card for him with all his achievements, and going up to coaches, he's playing, he doesn't know what I'm doing. So I'm talking to a coach, and a guy walks up, I didn't recognize him at all, and says, hey coach, I see your shirt, you know, Denison's always been better than your school. You know, I went to Denison, of course, and I was talking to the Ohio Wesleyan coach. By the way, it's a rival. And he looks at me. I had no idea who he was. He looks at me and goes, Eppley. Chris Eppley? I was like, yeah. He goes, Dave Fox, you know, I was 2 years behind you in your fraternity at Denison. I was like, wow, really? He's like, yeah, I live in California since Denison, just moved to Florida. My son's playing also this Philadelphia tournament. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. Moreover, hey, you remember Tom Lee and Chad Danner and John Tyak, from Delaware, Columbus. It's like, we're all getting together tonight for dinner. You should join us. So next thing I know, I bring my son, and their sons are there, and you just talk about all these things from our college days. So I've just been fortunate about, in my opinion, education, about relationships, because you never know where it's going to lead. The other thing I have to say is, if you've never run for a campaign, you should. You should try it. Right? Yeah, you should try it. You develop a lot of skills, right? You develop how to walk, how to knock, how to talk, how to listen, how to smile. You gotta smile. You also develop how to win and how to lose, right? And so to me, you gotta try something new. Try a campaign, because you either have success, right, or you have a story, right? So you have a story. So we have lots of stories from my campaign. And to borrow something from Teddy Roosevelt's 1910 talk, it really credit is deserved to those people who are in the arena, right? Those people are willing to go out there and put their name out there and be criticized, because it happens. So I applaud those who are willing to be in the arena. And you just may find your purpose. Although I read recently, you never find your purpose finds you. So I'm truly honored to be where I am right now. This February 8th of this year, where I was sworn in as judge of the 2nd District Court of Appeals. The past November, I had received just over 232,000 votes. And so I had to close my office after 21 years of law practice, and gratefully I had a lot of help. So from November to February, every weekend, every day, we're closing up a law practice, which is, it's not fun. It's a career, but you're closing it up. But what is fun is starting a new career. And so one of the greatest gifts I've had, again, with relationships is my wife, Eileen. Eileen, if you'd come up, why don't you come on up? I feel like I'm getting married again, right? Walking out the aisle. So the 2nd District Court of Appeals has a circumference of 2,300 miles. And that's the only time I'm going to mention math. Well, maybe later I'm going to mention pie and desserts, but right now, if it wasn't for Eileen and her hard work, I don't know that we'd get where we are today. We walked, we knocked on doors, we went to a pig roast, we went to a hog roast. You got to think of this. The 2nd District Court of Appeals has 6 counties, so it's not just Montgomery, right? You're going up to Darke County, you're going to Champaign, you're going to Clark County, you're going to Miami County, you're going to Greene County, and some of those have more farms than we do here in Oakwood. So they have pig roast and hog roast, and we went to those. But the funny thing is, neither really had any ham, I don't think. They call it a hog roast, but I didn't see any hogs. But it was a lot of fun. It was also the first time, as I recall, I was in a big area, and they said, hey, you're running for your candidate, get up on stage and say something. So it was one of the first times that I spoke, and certainly I didn't have time to take speech and debate at Oakwood, unfortunately, because I was involved in sports and different things, but I really felt a sense of confidence, right? The first time you give a talk, you're like, oh, that was terrible. But it gets better, and you get more confidence, and then you look forward to your turn, right? There's 12 candidates everywhere you go. So I go, okay, today I'm first, and next time I'm 8th, and then you look forward to it, versus, oh my gosh, I have to go next. So I got to that phase where okay, it's my turn, I'm gonna go, I only have 2 minutes, I know I get 5. Or did I miss the message? I thought it was 5 minutes. I wrote a 5-minute speech. Okay, let me go see what's on my 2nd page. I'd also like to thank, by the way, Eileen's mother, Mary Jane, and Jim for helping us during the campaign. They walked in a hot morning, Huber Heights parade. Wore my shirt, I guess, at the gym. I don't know where, but it's really fun, and I'm very grateful for that. I also like to thank my kids, Jack and Lily. Jack's a senior, Lily's a sophomore. Why don't you guys come up too? We're just sitting back there. So, you like to involve your kids in things, right? I think it was Ben Franklin, everyone on the school board had that. I saw that quote the other day. What did Ben Franklin say? If you involve your kids, they learn, right? If you tell them something, they forget. But if you involve them, they learn. Am I right? I just saw that quote, okay, yesterday. And so, my slogan too for them, they've heard this before, is never let your memories be greater than your dreams. That should be for all of us, shouldn't it? Never let your memories be greater than your dreams. So I tell them that, or they've heard that. I don't know if I've told them that, but they've been to one of these things before. So I'm grateful they come to these. I remember the election night. I had two of them. I had a primary and general election, but I remember them pretty distinctly. It was just our family. We didn't go anywhere. You don't want to go to these big parties like you see on TV and movies. So we didn't do anything. But each county, I didn't realize how you check your votes. So we just go to each county's website. Each county would come in, and I'd see Lily over there going, yes, yes. And then Jack halfway through, like, yeah, we got only one more to go. Jack's real soberly says, you got this, Dad. Yeah, that's great. So I appreciated their confidence, because that's a memory that I'll never forget. And so I appreciate that. There's another person I want to introduce too, is my mom, Connie Eppley. Mom, come on up. So a judicial race is a nonpartisan race, and so we're nonpartisan people. But I'll tell you what, my mom and I went to a lot of partisan events, and we made a lot of speeches. We met a lot of friends. We learned the political process, even though it's a nonpartisan event. We learned the political process. We still go to events. We still have fun. The great thing about a mom, maybe Dad too, but my dad would do this. He's passed, but he would do the same thing. My mom, I probably gave, 30 or 40 speeches. I don't know. They're all 2 minutes, so I don't think that's a lot. How many times can you say a 2-minute speech? But every time we get in the car afterwards, you know what? My speech was the best one. And I can be honest with you, my speech was really never the best one. I prepared and I practiced. I did every one. I always do, even though it's the same speech, but you got to have a mom who's going to lift you up after every time. And so, I'm really, really thankful for that. The other thing I'd like to tell you is I think all of us have a book in us, right? Whether we publish it or not, we all have a story. It's a book. So when I think, my book, I have a title to my book. I have no story yet, but the title to my book would be Start with Yes. Start with yes, because all these people said yes to me. Hey, you want to run a 15-month campaign and travel 2,300 miles every so often? Yes. Really? Okay, let's do it. And so before I even thought of it, who did I ask first? My family. Do you want to do this? Yep, we do. Okay, you want to go walk in Germantown all day? Yep. Really? Because I don't. But we did, and I suppose, and she did that for me. And she got no benefit out of it, right? That was just for me. So I think, when you do something for somebody else like that you really got to be grateful, and you've got to be thankful. And so I am. I also recently read the phrase, keep your fork. Maybe you've seen that. I saw it on Facebook or whatever. Keep your fork. Why do you keep your fork? Well, when you have dinner, after your main course is dessert, right? The best part. So when you think, well, the best part is the dessert, and someone says keep your fork because you want to have that for your dessert. So, I've kept my fork. This is my fork from 1969 when I was a kid when we moved here. And I've kept it because I believe the best is still yet to come. And I truly believe that, and that's my fork. So I do want to thank everyone, thank my family everyone here for listening and for nominating me and voting on me. I really appreciate it, and I'm truly honored to be here. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
I don't know how you follow all the animation that's been around today. Because I don't have it. I'm Renee Anderson, Renee Arnold Anderson from the class of 1971. And this would be our 50th class reunion. However, it was canceled, sadly. But we're thinking of all the people. I sent a message out to the class the other day and asked them to think about all the great memories that we've all had from Oakwood and how much we learned, how much fun we had, and again, the relationships. And some have gone before us, and we're sad about that, but we think about them also. So anyway, that's my story. I'm here to introduce Chris Smith from the class of 1960. She's an artistic talent that can be traced back to the halls of Oakwood High School when she would paint murals, design and help create decorations for school events. Since then, she has painted or sculpted more than 4,000 works of art. The range of her talent spans all forms of media, from oil portraits for individuals, families, and their pets, to a 12-foot wooden sculpture for the Women in Distress Center in Deerfield Beach, Florida. 2 of her commissioned portraits hung in the White House during both the Carter and Ford administrations. Chris' sculpted portrait marionettes were chosen as one of Neiman Marcus' 10 most unusual gifts in the world, resulting in appearances on Oprah, Good Morning America, MSNBC, and a 4-page feature in People magazine. For the past 10 years, she has been all around the world as an artist in residence on Oceana cruise lines and teaching an occasional workshop at the Boca Raton Museum of Art. It is my great honor to award Chris Smith with the 2021 Distinguished Alumni Award. She is not here, but Pam Stevens is going to accept for her. Fellow board member.
Yes, well, I didn't realize this, but we definitely have something in common. My reunion for this year was canceled after it was canceled last year, so we're 60+1 and still trying. Maybe one day we'll have one, I'm not sure. We may be all go home, but we'll have another one. Because Chris says she's coming back. She wants a big party to get this award. On behalf of Chris, thank you very much. To accept this on her behalf is just very exciting for me. And as I was thinking about it, a couple things. One thing I told Chris on the phone a couple weeks ago when we spoke, I said, do you remember those crazy art classes up in Mr. Carmichael's art room? Those of you who are younger, it's now an orchestra room or something, but it was the greatest art room in the world because it had these phenomenal big windows and everything. I took art. I couldn't draw a straight line with a ruler, but I loved art class. And I'm sitting in this art class one year, and I was probably, maybe our senior year, and I remember sitting at a work table, and they were big square tables. And there's Chris, and there's Judy Gitzinger Montgomery, who has taught art in college level all over the country. There's the late, great, wonderful, talented Martha Cowden. And there's Chris, and there's this person who really likes art and can't do anything with it. So I'm sitting there working my little crafty jewelry stuff. And I'm going, what am I doing here? And poor Mr. Carmichael will come over and I said, you're doing just fine, honey. It was a great memory. 3 years ago, I was honored to be asked to serve on the selection committee for this award, and I didn't know much about it at that time. And I learned more, obviously, about it, and after that time, I got to thinking about my class, and who in my class would be a candidate for this award. We already have one member in of this group, and that's Dr. Bob Gaines, who unfortunately is unable to be here, because he really wanted to come this week. But anyway, I thought, Chris. At our 50th reunion, I remember sitting at a round table much like these. I think there were 6 or 8 of us at the table, and Chris and I started talking. She started telling me more and more about what she was doing. And I'm sitting there with this unartistic mouth hanging open going, really? You know. And it went from there. And so I got some balls rolling and we started, and Chris was nominated. Mostly thank you to another classmate, Adrienne Ash, who has maintained a very close friendship with Chris and was able to write some great recommendations. So enough about what I'm saying, her prepared remarks, if I can do this somewhat straight. I am so honored to receive this recognition from the Oakwood Alumni Association. It was a really hard decision not to make the trip to see you in person. I'm still regretting it as I write this. Thank you to Pam for bravely reading this. She knows how I am. In the immortal words of that famed scholar, John McEnroe,
80? You cannot be serious. The thing is, I actually mean that. I've tried very hard to face the challenges in my life and career with a lighthearted approach. I truly don't think of my career as distinguished. I haven't saved any lives, at least that I know of, but it's been extremely interesting. More often than not, I've just been phenomenally blessed with just being at the right place, at the right time, with the right creative stuff in my head, and of course, a big smile and lots of attitude. Oakwood High School certainly ranks right at the top of the most blessed things that ever happened to me as far as my education is concerned. I'm hearing a pattern here. Have you noticed that? Oakwood High School, in the years that have passed, I have found that I value the basics learned at OHS even more so than my degree from DePauw University. I grew up there, but I was educated at Oakwood. I think I merely mentioned to a few of you that my password is, you ready? Miss Page, the English teacher, with a very white hair. She was a terrifying experience, and I will never forget. I will never forgive myself for not coming back to thank her for making sure I could diagram a sentence in my sleep, walking backwards in a snowstorm for the rest of my days on this earth and or beyond. Connie and Ernie, you probably agree with me too on that. There were many instructors who changed my life in Oakwood. I never appreciated all of this until I was much older and had children to educate. It was my naive idea that all public schools were like Oakwood. They are not. Our class was magic. Our school was magic. We lived in a magic time. My career adventures and misadventures, how many people do you know who glued their mouths shut just prior to appearing on national TV, can easily be viewed by clicking on the video of my website, www.chrissmithart.com. Please visit there. It's a secret about little Adrian Ash there too. Some of you may remember Adrian. So please join me, she says, on Oceana Cruises, where I've been one of the artist-in-residence artists for the last 12 years. I will definitely be on Oceana Marina in June of 2022 for a Baltic itinerary, and possibly others as they reopen. Again, thank you for this incredible honor. I will cherish it. Sending hugs to all. Hope to see you maybe next year, or whenever COVID is gone.
Good evening. My name is Mark Hughes. I served as the Director of Athletics at Oakwood High School from 1995 until 2013. I was honored when asked to introduce James Rocky Whalen, class of 1941, for this award. Rocky was nominated in 2017 by Tom Blitz Krieger, class of 1949. I first met Rocky when he would come to games and tennis matches at Oakwood High School to watch his grandchildren. He was very proud of them. I always enjoyed seeing him and learned a great deal about the history and traditions of Oakwood sports from him. I soon realized that he had a passion for sports history. When his book, The Blue and Gold Gridiron, was published in 2000, I was amazed at the detail and the amount of information he gathered, dating all the way back to our first football team of 1923. In 2004, Rocky joined a small group of people and we started talking about forming a Oakwood Athletic Hall of Fame. Barbara, another recipient tonight, was in on these discussions. Barbara, congratulations on your well-deserved award. The two of them were the only distinguished people in on those discussions. Isn't that right? Rocky provided research about Oakwood athletes that we still refer to today. Many of the student athletes that he gathered information on have already been inducted into our Hall of Fame. Rocky passed away in 2007 prior to our first induction in 2008. At our banquets, I continue to recognize Rocky so that people understand his significant contributions to our Hall of Fame. On our Hall of Fame wall, there's a plaque that reads, "With gratitude to James Rocky Whalen, class of 1941, athlete and author whose passion for sports history helped establish this Hall of Fame. Rocky was not only well-versed in Oakwood sports, but also collected more than 1,000 college football programs and 700 sports books dating back to 1885. His collection is displayed in the James Rocky Whalen Sports Library at the University of Dayton. This is a one-of-a-kind collection, and thanks to the Whalen family, is now available for the University of Dayton faculty and students to study and enjoy for years to come. Rocky was a World War II Army veteran and well-loved by his wife of 59 years, Jean, and their 4 children and 9 grandchildren. Accepting on his behalf is Rocky's son, Bob Whalen, class of 1971.
Brought the prop. This is Rocky's collectibles. It seems he cherry-picked about 8 years that Oakwood dominated Fairmont. And listed them on this wall. I also have some other props here. Some books that Rocky covered. Yeah, this was the Oakwood football, 75 years of Oakwood football. Put that together. And then Ivy Leaguers Invent Football. You can find this, I think, as a resale book on Amazon. And then he also has Gridiron Greats Now Gone. That's a kind of a sports historian book that covers 20 teams that were very prominent in their history. University of Chicago was a dominant team in the 20s and 30s, but then they de-emphasized football. So anyway, so that's a true historian type book. So thanks, Mark. That was a wonderful coverage on Rocky. I'm Bob Whalen, Rocky's eldest son, Rocky and Jean's eldest son. I'm a current Oakwood resident, class of 71, along with my classmate Renee. And sorry about that reunion getting postponed. Anyway, I was also on the OHS football team when Howard Sales was head coach. So he was just recently honored, you may probably already know, and they have a bronzed hat. He always wore a certain hat, so that's displayed over at the high school. And the players come out and they rub the hat as they go out to the game. So I'm here to honor Rocky, along with my wife, Janine, my sister, Mary Kay Buffington, and Jim Whalen, my brother, and a number of members of the family, the extended family. So we're all proud of Rocky getting this award, and I'm sure Rocky would be proud of this award also. He was a modest man. He always warned us to avoid braggadocio. That was his word. But I think Rocky would mention this award to his closest friends. Very proud. So Rocky had a full life. He attended Harmon Elementary, graduated OHS in 1941, Army veteran, World War II, UD graduate in 1947, married Jean LaBeouf in 1948 after she graduated UD, and he was a family man with 4 children. He had a business career at Wright's department store, which is now Macy's. And he had several management roles there. He also founded and ran the Wright's Credit Union and went around to the store locations and met with the associates, and really was well known and well liked down at Wright's. So then, as Mark mentioned, he was also active in the OHS Athletic Hall of Fame, and he did a lot of research for that group. And then finally, he was also an author. So we already alluded to that, but I'll give some background on that. Rocky was a college football fan his whole life. So he collected college football programs, articles, and notes on major teams, players, and games. So on many weekends, Rocky would disappear into the attic, go work on his collection and his notes, putting the notes on index cards. And in the attic, there were like at least 6 file cabinets full of programs and articles, and number of bookcases, bookshelves, and we children knew those were off limits. Do not touch. Many of Rocky's friends enjoyed discussing college football. One friend was Jack Toohey, and he said he was amazed at Rocky's knowledge on the subject of college football. So as a true fan, Rocky attended the annual College Football Hall of Fame Awards in New York City for 16 years in a row as a guest. The Hall of Famers knew him as Rocky Whalen, football historian. And a side note was he was actually interviewed on an ESPN special sometime back in that time frame. Another anecdote, Rocky was shocked and thrilled when, back in the late 80s, when one afternoon his brother-in-law, Marty LaBeouf, brought Archie Griffin over to the house. And so he had a tremendous reaction. He recognized Archie Griffin right away. Archie was the OSU Buckeyes starting tailback for 4 years when they won 4 Big Ten titles, and he was between 1972 and 1975, and also was a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. So you can imagine the thrill of meeting Archie in person. After retiring from Reich's, Rocky enrolled in a writing class at UD to polish his writing skills, because he intended to do some writing. It's kind of hard to envision him in a class with college-age students, but he got a lot out of it. Another case was when the word processors and personal computers came out. We all tried to get him to use those as for writing purposes, and he preferred to use his regular typewriter. Let's stick with that. Rocky also, as we talked, Rocky authored a variety of articles and books. He contributed brief biographies into a dictionary or a reference book that a professor assembled. And so he was a contributor to several of those. One of them is over here, I noticed. I covered most of the other, some of the other ones. He also did a UD football history, and that's down at the UD library. He also did an autobiography for the family, and that's titled Collie Dearest, and that was named after his mother, Colette Whalen. So, anyway, so those are some highlights of Rocky's life, and thanks to the Oakwood Distinguished Alumni Awards Committee, and for honoring Rocky. So, we're all very proud of Rocky. Thank you.
Right, that concludes our program for the evening. I want to thank everyone who traveled from near, far, to celebrate our 5 amazing alumni. And just thank you, especially these days. We know how special it is to be together and celebrating those relationships like Chris mentioned. It's a wonderful evening, starting off a wonderful weekend. We hope you'll stick around and enjoy the rest of the homecoming and reunion activities. And thank you again for being a part of our community. We appreciate it.